So this is where we left off in our prior segment. How you frame an argument determines who will listen further, give it the time of day, and can even influence how it is interpreted. There is a difference between news channels and talk shows about the news. Examples of real news channels are down to a minimum in the US today. Basically, just NPR and PBS. The problem with news talk shows is that they are preaching to their choirs, regardless of whether they're liberal or conservative. Only liberals listen to MSNBC, only conservatives listen to Fox. The audience does not get both sides of the story, such as on NPR and PBS. They do not get the facts to weigh and evaluate and to interpret information on their own, come to their own conclusions, like they do on NPR and PBS. The longer the audience listens to their news talk shows, the more group polarization happens. They get further and further extreme on either end of the political spectrum, and the more difficult it becomes for any politician, let alone individual, to reach across the aisle. So the news talk shows don't stick to the facts. They go further and try to interpret them for you. Furthermore, they frame their interpretations for their one-sided audience. So why would any liberals listen to Fox News or any conservatives to MSNBC? Remember, how you frame an argument determines who will listen further and give it the time of day. A valuable social skill, one that we are rapidly losing today, is to learn how to frame your arguments for different audiences. So again, visualize this demo class activity step by step, just as if we did it in a classroom. Know that there will likely be a test question on this. Each class group is told to choose a controversial issue, then write 4 arguments, 2 for it and 2 against it. You might pick abortion or immigration, gun regulation, etc. It actually really helps if you have group members on both sides of the issue. Then write 2 arguments for and 2 against the issue, 1 of each framed with conservative values and 1 framed with liberal values. Conservative values may include things like family values, less social spending, more military spending. Liberal values may include civil rights, social safety nets, equality, etc. Now I'm going to give you an example of a group that did a really good job of this, and they actually picked the topic of deinstitutionalization. Likely they had individuals who had taken abnormal psychology before in their group. But I love that they picked this because we have a movie coming up later toward the end of the semester about deinstitutionalization. So this is when folks are released from a mental institution when they are deemed to be healed and to see if they can make it on their own. Now, understand that they get a government stipend for a period of time, so like a welfare check, and a chance to prove that they can make it on their own. So this is used when they do not have families to go home to. They don't have anybody to go home to, okay? So this group came up with their 2 arguments against and 2 for. And remember that each one of them has to be conservative values. So conservatives will listen, and the other one with liberal values. So liberals will consider it, right? And then the same thing with the arguments for deinstitutionalization. So this is what they came up with against deinstitutionalization, framed, in other words, targeting conservatives, framed with conservative issues. They came up with this argument against it. Putting these people back on the street would be a threat to families, okay? And then targeting liberals, their argument against it is the government's job to take care of those whose ability to do so themselves is compromised. And then for the arguments for targeting liberals, they put, people who've been through tough times deserve compassion and a helping hand from the government. And then for conservatives, we could save a lot of money considering that deinstitutionalization stipends are actually 10 times less than the cost of institutionalizing an individual per day. The lesson here again is how you frame an argument determines who will listen further and who will give it the time of day. So this is a really valuable social skill to learn in life, is how to frame your arguments for different audiences.